Hello, Board Review Nation! Oh, that was like so right at it was coming out of your mouth. I just jumped in.
I seriously thought that, it was my at bat.
Gabe.
Nick. This guy totally jumped in my at bat and struck out when I was going to hit a homer. All right, Nick and Gabe here. We are very ready, a little nervous, but very ready to bring to you our official review of Season 1 of Sacred Games. Now, we had saw the request. We saw the request in the comment section, to my excitement, I can't control it, to do one episode at a time.
Right.
But, as working fathers, this guy's got a million jobs. We didn't have the time for that. I want to do that at some point, maybe with Mirzapur. Maybe we can do that one episode at a time. Right. But he started watching this before even letting me know about it. I was finishing something else, and he watched like 4 episodes the first night. And he's telling me the next day, you got to watch this right now.
It's like crack, man. I'm sorry. You get addicted to it. I was mad.
Do you know about that?
I had to be at school the next day. I'm normally up at 7 o'clock, 7:15, the latest to get ready for school. And I look at the clock and it's 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, just one more episode. This thing was addicting. I love this show.
Yeah, so he got me excited about it. I started watching it. We both finished it over a week ago. But, we love getting requests. Let me just explain this for a second. We get lots of requests. That's why I keep saying to a lot of people in the comment section, hey, if you want your request to be near the top, join our Patreon page. Become a patron, $1, $2 tiers, whatever you want to do. But we have so many requests, and sometimes because of our schedules, we'll record a few videos at a time. And so when we get these requests, after we post a video, it's going to be at least a week until we can even watch it to get to it, which is a good problem to have. That means, we have people that are liking our stuff. But if you have a request that you have, then become a patron, and I'm telling you, it's going to jump the list. It's going to jump that line, so to speak. We got Rohan. We got Prasanth as our newest patrons. We got Arjit.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate all you guys. If you want your request in there, then put it in there. Rohan, we're getting to yours pretty soon. Don't worry. But Republic Day. Happy Republic Day.
Happy Republic Day, guys.
For everybody.
Absolutely.
We're excited to be able to bring you 3 videos today. This, I'm not sure which order this is going to be in the realm of videos. The other 2 are already edited, ready to go, so they won't say a Happy Republic Day on there. But we do sincerely mean it. We're going to throw 3 just for you because we know for a lot of you, in between your celebrating and your partying and your eating, you're going to want to watch some Born Reviews. So we want to give that to you. But we're going to get right into this.
We got a request, and we had never done something like this before by one of our subscribers, and he said, hey dude, it's a great show. You should do a little research before you review the show, specifically to the titles of each episode, because the title of each episode has something to do with the episode. And I was like, okay, that's a cool way to do it. So we put a little bit of work. Again, this thing has become a labor of love for us, and man, I tell you what, I could see where the titles absolutely did bleed into a lot of the episodes. But for us, a lot of these are Hindu mythology. It's new to us. So by seeing it, reading the titles, okay, well, you got to kind of read more into it. But without further ado, the first episode, Sacred Games. And again, reason we jumped on Sacred Games before any other series was because of who?
Nawaz,
my man Nawaz Siddiqui. I love this guy. He is so vicious, and even here, and
he taps into his inner Faisal on this one for sure. Now, just to get started, Sacred Games, directed by a few different directors each episode, and a lot of shows do that. But there's 3 main directors from what I saw on IMDb, and 2 of them were producers or assistant directors on Gangs of Wasseypur. So, you got all those ties in right there. The other one produced Queen, amongst the many other movies that we have not seen yet, but we've heard a lot about. So, as we go through our review, we're going to be doing episode at a time. We're going to try to tie in the symbol from what we did from our research, our limited understanding. Right. And then we'll talk about the show as a whole. So, it's kind of a different format. So, he's going to jump on episode 1.
So, episode 1, entitled Aswathaman, who was basically, he was a child who grew to be a warrior, and he was cursed because he grew to become such a great warrior. His fame actually ended up costing his father his life,
That was pretty obvious, yeah.
So now you see the connection there. And oh, by the way, his father was a guru again, and our boy Faisal's father was a holy man. So that's the connection there. He was cursed to roam the earth with immortality and sores all over his body. That's basically what the title means. Yeah, so episode 1
emotional scars, physical scars.
Exactly. Yeah. Boy, episode 1 opens up the way it should. My man was. They give you exactly what you want. First, what would you say? Minute of the show? Third, I would say maybe 2 minutes of the show. Some chick is crawling or whatnot, and he walks up on her, and she says something that now that I watched the whole thing, I know it's gonna bleed into the future. She's like, so they fooled you for 20 years or something. And then first of all, if she's got to have a sack on her. If a dude's got a gun to you, why would you talk smack to him? So she's like,
yeah, but JoJo, I mean, she's been in the game for a while. You're not gonna lose all that confidence right away. And I'm not gonna say it. Never mind. This is gonna be a spoiler.
Oh, guys, spoiler review. Obviously, we're reviewing the whole series. It's going to be spoiler, but we're going to try to go episode by episode.
But this was going to be a spoiler actually for season 2 because I already started season 2. But anyways.
All right. So anyways, he shoots her right there. Cold-blooded. Boom. She's dead. Then we cut to our, I wouldn't even say there's antagonists and protagonists. There's protagonist 1, which in my opinion is Faisal. And then we have... Faisal, I can't call him. Gaitonde here. Okay, my man Nawaz, Gaitonde. And then it's Sartaj. Now, I don't know about you. At first, I didn't like this guy. But basically, he's a cop who's never even solved the case before. And you could tell nobody from his precinct likes him.
Wasn't given a chance either.
He's violated the code of silence with cops because one of his commanders killed an unarmed person.
And you didn't like him because of that?
Come on. He violated the code of silence.
Being honorable.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, because you could tell he was not even a confident cop. You know what I mean? And... the whole time, and I think that they did this on purpose. Remember we were talking about, man, why is this dude sweating so much? He's leaking. His whole shirt was back. But that can just tell you his apprehension. He's not comfortable in his own skin, and he's nervous as a cop. You never want a nervous cop. You want somebody who's confident. So, again, make a long story short, out of the blue, this nobody cop that nobody in his own precinct likes him gets a phone call from one of the legendary gangsters, Gaitonde, and he says... oh, something to the effect of, I'm going to tell you my story, my life story. He's just trying to keep him talking because in his mind, he's finally like, yes, I have a chance to solve a big case. It's a huge gangster.
Keep on the phone so I can track him.
He's tracking him. He's smart. He's trying to get to him. So this cop actually eventually ends up tracking Gaitonde back to his... lair, I would call it,
yeah,
his hideout, right?
Interesting place.
to his hideout, and Gaitonde again. He knew they were tracking him. At one point when the feds or whoever that is, the SSB, whatever their version of FBI, are listening to the phone, he said, oh, we can't talk on the phone right now. We're not alone. Somebody's on the line. He hangs up and then he calls him back. So Gaitonde knows he's leading them to him. He's not even trying to escape. The cop follows him, gets there, and he says, I'm going to talk to you because, you're something about, to the effect of you're like the last honorable man, and he's telling him his life story. My life story is so interesting, whatever. He starts telling him how he grew, basically, his father, who was a holy man, and his mother was, for lack of a better word.
She cheated on her husband. She was bored.
that was more politely than I was gonna put it. I was gonna drop the word whore there. Okay. He cheated on the husband, and she ends up dying. We find out she ends up dying. Her and the person she was cheating with. So now Gaitonde is going through the ranks. He becomes a criminal. He's in another criminal organization. He takes out his own boss. I mean, this guy is a gold smuggler. This guy is a straight up gangster. A guy that made other people tremble. He may tremble. And then at the end of the episode, which after that I told you, it was that first night. That's why it's like I gotta keep watching. He kills himself. Boom! Shoots himself right in the head. He's committing suicide once Sartaj gets to him. So now I'm thinking to myself, did you just... because they've done this in a lot of movies and in a lot of series where they kill off the main headliner in the first episode or the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie. I was upset, like, this can't be happening. And then right away, now Gaitonde keeps talking after he's dead. I'm like, wait, what just happened? And he says, I cannot die. I am a god. I am bigger than God. You will hear my story. And he just like, now I'm like, wait, is this like some supernatural stuff going on? And the episode fades to black. And now we jump into episode 2.
So, I mean, episode 1 is awesome. I feel differently than you do when it comes to Sartaj. I said in our reaction, I said, I like Nawaz so much, I already don't like Sartaj. But it took a very short amount of time for me to get on Team Sartaj, who's played by Saif Ali Khan. And he does a great job. And we hadn't seen him in a movie that we had recognized yet so far, so it was good to get our introduction to him. Episode 2 is called Hala Hala. And all this information, I didn't make this up. I didn't read all the books. I went online, I found some research together, and I kind of put it together for other ones and compare and contrast to make sure it was pretty accurate. So during the Samudra Manthana, Hala Hala was apparently a deadly poison that can destroy everything, later consumed by Lord Shiva. So, and the person on this website, they made their suggestions or their predictions of what they thought it meant. They didn't have the actual answers. And so this guy thought that, and this is from Shrishti, Magan from Scoop Whoop. This is from his article. And it says it could refer to the biohazard revealed at the end of the episode. That 25 days Mumbai is going to be destroyed. I think that because these symbols as like a preface to each episode, I think that it's not always so cut and dry. Episode 1, pretty obvious. But this one, I think it could refer to a few things. So, obviously they're trying to figure out what's going on with that 25-day warning, what's in danger. Ra debriefs in this episode, debriefs Sartaj, and they mention a religion a lot. Okay, so if the Hala Hala was consumed by Lord Shiva, is religion going to play some kind of role in ending this 25-day threat? Gaitande, he forms his gang as he's going along, right? Is he the poison? Because first of all, he goes in, like you said, the gold smuggler in episode 1 takes over his thing.
He's a G.
Could be considered the poison, takes over the men. Now they're his men. Then he takes over the trash kingpin, right?
Right.
And I love this guy. I mean, he was an emperor of trash and recycling and whatnot. But, I mean, he was full of himself. And so Nawaz takes care of him. Or, and this is a little lead into a later episode, episode 6, is Sartaj the poison for people like Kadakar, his homie. Character was my favorite character in the show. Is he the poison for what happens to Kadakar later on? Is Nawaz, Gaitande the poison for Sartaj later on? I mean, there's so much in it, and it's not clear cut, and I love that because we can have conversations, we can have comments in there.
Right.
But that's episode 2.
You know what? I just thought about that. I'm gonna make a comment. Sartaj may be the poison because everyone that comes in contact with him surrounding this meets a grisly fate.
Because
you know what I mean?
He's in a tough place. He wants to have his first case. He knows what he can do. He wants to be able to showcase that. He's working under a corrupt chief of police or whatever the title is. And, I mean, sometimes to get what you want, there's collateral damage. Does not need to be collateral damage. So he could be the poison, but I do love Sartaj's character.
All right, episode 3, Atapi and Batapi. There were 2 demons who used to trick travelers with hospitality and kill them. Religious people welcome them, and then hinges on their souls. Basically, and this person made the comparison to it being the 2 sides or his right-hand man, basically. You've got the 2 demons. Well, we're introduced to Bunty, which, he's a gangster. He's my second favorite character.
He is so hard to like, but the actor does such a fantastic job.
Fantastic job.
He has some great lines in this entire series. I just had to say that.
Right. And of course, there's Bundy and there's Bada. Now, the thing about Bada is that he was with Issa's men before. Issa was the gangster that he took over, and we find out in this episode those people to me are kind of secondary characters. This is where we're introduced to the I would say not the trophy, but she's a trophy, right? Kuku. And we're introduced to Kuku's magic.
Now, before you get to Kuku, was it confirmed, because I must have missed this, that Bada was part of Issa's crew?
Yeah.
Because we know later on there's some video evidence of some. But is that where Gaitonde got him from?
Well, yeah, because they had.
I totally missed.
There was like some family ties there or whatnot. That's why he ended up.
It's Bada and his brother.
Right. But Kuku is like the main chick here. That the Issa, the other gangster, that's his trophy, and he walks her around town, and everybody sees her, so they know that he
she's got the magic.
She's got the magic. And it's funny because Gaitonde goes to his club with him there, with Kuku there, and goes right to Kuku and says, "You're going to be with me." So he starts making it rain on her. This guy's a gangster, man.
I mean, he'd already taken out the trash kingpin. He had no problem. I mean, he did not fear nothing. He truly thought he was God.
And that goes back to episode 1 where that tiger comes out at him. And when there was, that tiger came and the tiger submitted to him, that's why he thought he was God. Okay, and nothing can kill me. There's no fear. And somebody once told me the scariest thing is somebody who doesn't have fear. You know, that's an old adage. If somebody doesn't have fear, they're the scariest person because they got nothing to lose. So anyways, they go through the battle. Kuku is now on his side, and because of having Kuku, she does have magic. All of a sudden, his gangster elevates. He starts getting involved with politics and making more money.
All the moves he makes are golden moves.
All the moves he makes are golden moves.
Wrong.
He can do no wrong, and then that now leads into episode 4.
All right, so episode 4, it's titled Brahman. I know there's Brahmin. That's a religious thing, but Brahmahatnya. Sorry for butchering that. And this is, in a fit of rage, Lord Indra had murdered Visvarupa, a Brahmin. He was guilty for killing a Brahmin. Brahmins were basically teachers or protectors of sacred learning. Okay, and guilt was shared by, and so he had this guilt because he killed this Brahmin, and so that guilt he shared with the earth, the women, and the forest. And so for me, I did a lot. I went back in the episode. I did a lot of research. I tried to figure out this because I was trying to figure, okay, who's the earth? Who's the forest? Who are the women? There's so much going on here. But in this episode, we have Kuku, who he mentioned in episode 3. She is fantastic. She's played by Kuba Sate. And she gives, in my opinion, the best acting performance in any scene in this series. And she's only in it for the 2 episodes.
Right.
But when her wig is taken off and she reveals herself to Gaitonde and he sees who she is, her emotional reaction, I completely felt 100%. I felt like that was amazing acting. I love when I watch anything, a movie or a show, where I'm watching it and I'm saying to myself, this is like an Oscar moment. This is a real rarity. And that's what I felt she gave us in that scene when she broke down. She was fantastic.
She was amazing in that scene. I completely agree. And the one thing about it is that the entire time, not just her, but I also like Gaitonde's reaction to her. Like, this is the first time he was humanized. If he has cared about anyone in this entire series, it was Kuku. This is the first time that you really see that this guy is human. He's not a god, and he does bleed, you know what I mean? Where he does feel, and he felt for her, because he's like, look, I don't care, you know what I mean? Even though later on it's evident that he does care when she talks about, and like, but he still, loves her for her, even though she's revealed to be
a hermaphrodite. And when she reveals that, it changes things for him. But you're right. He cares about her feelings. He doesn't care about anyone else's feelings.
Right.
He cares about her feelings. This guy even cared about his own mother when it came down to things when he was a kid and he took her out. But he cares about her feelings. And it's a beautiful thing to see. She realizes, okay, now you know the truth about me. You don't even want to kiss me anymore. Oh, no, baby, I still want to kiss you. Don't worry about it. And then stuff goes on. But in this episode, he makes his move in the town. And in turn, causes a war between the Muslims and the Hindus. And that's where the religious aspect comes with the title and the guilt for killing the Brahmin. Once you make it, in my opinion, this is my opinion right now, once you make it about religion, and you're going into, it doesn't even matter whether you believe in it or not. Once you make it religious, then you're making a move that you can't come back from. You are making, in my opinion, a cardinal mistake, because you're messing with forces you don't understand.
Right.
And so that's where I believe the title comes from, when he's making that war between the Muslims and the Hindus, and he's kind of using them as pawns to get what he wants.
Right.
But obviously Kuku and I did not see that coming with her, by the way. We were kind of joking around about the way that Gaitonde is with his women. I mean, he would never have realized she didn't tell him, because that's all I'm going to say right there.
Well, what's funny too, when you were going back to what you were talking about a minute ago, he's killing. Up to this point, it's always been gangsters and gangsters, but now he's killing anyone that even had a loose association to Issa, innocent Muslims, and then on top of that, Issa has now fled. You know what I mean? So if you really think about it, you won. You know what I mean? There's no reason to continue to, but he just is enraged, so he wants to take as many people out as possible.
Well, Issa may have left the area, but he's still around, as we'll find out.
Well, he still has some influence there. Yeah.
And as far as Gaitonde goes, there's one more person he cares about, and we'll get to that in a later episode description. But that's episode 4. And every episode, I want to keep saying that this was my favorite episode. This was my favorite episode. It just keeps you going. It keeps adding. And there was a ton of stuff that I'm still confused about, right?
Absolutely.
This show was so smart and so brilliant, but episode 5.
Okay, episode 5. Some Sarama, which means dog. And I mean, you can kind of take the interpretation 2 different ways, okay? Obviously, Gaitonde now is suffering after the loss of Kuku, so he starts basically trying to find loving wherever he can find it, and he is sleeping around with
just doesn't care
everyone. He doesn't care. He's just trying to take away the pain and
cover up that pain.
I don't
want to talk about it. I want to think about it.
He ends up getting sick, and he almost dies. And it's a friend of his, a holy man, who ends up giving him a ring, telling him that this is going to ward away the evil spirits. He actually ends up going to the hospital, at which point I was thinking, if I'm Issa, how do I not know that he's in the hospital sick, recovering? I'm having spies, and if he's in the hospital sick, recovering, I'm going to send people after you at that point. That would have been the best part.
We're not giving a lot about Issa, and I wish that we did.
Right.
But it made me almost think that even though he was a leader in his own way and a mob boss in his own way, that there's only one Gaitonde. Gaitonde is ruthless. He does not care. He will go into that club and give her the ring while staring at you the whole time. Like, I know that's your woman, but now she's mine.
Right.
I don't see Issa. I see Issa more as kind of like that, sits back. I'm going to have my plan.
Right.
I'm going to get him when it's, where it's really good. I don't know.
Well, and in the hospital, I think the most important part of this episode is that the lion comes back to him. The tiger comes back to him because he's near death at this point. And he's like, the first time I saw the tiger, I was seeing the tiger respected me and saw the fear in my eyes. He feared me, where now I fear this tiger. So now am I ready to die? Because his thing has always been, no one can kill me. I'm indestructible. And for the first time, there's a chink in the armor. So at the end of the episode, he gets out of the hospital. His maid actually ends up giving him the ring that his...
Because he threw it at one point.
Because he threw it. He didn't want it. And she put it on him while he was at the hospital. Is that the reason he survived and healed? Who knows? But...
he definitely noticed it.
He noticed that the ring was on him. And now you find out that his maid cares about him more than just as a boss. Because he's, a mean guy. He's a gangster. So... Issa's still out on the lam, so to speak. He's out of the country. Gaitonde finally gets out of the hospital. The guy who gives him the ring says, your life will be in balance if you get married. All this sleeping around is what hurts you.
And he even says, yes, give me a wife.
Fine, I'll do this. I survived. Get me a wife. Gaitonde's finally ready to kind of, scale things back and relax. And what happens? Here comes your boy Issa cunning, and on the way...
like I said, he plans it out.
On the way to Gaitonde's wedding, he calls him, which is gangster. And he says, I hope you receive my wedding gift. And Gaitonde's on the phone like, who's this? And that's probably Issa's best line. He's like, you know who this is. Like, I'm a gangster. Called him on his wedding day to let him know. So now Gaitonde starts panicking. He hangs out. For whatever reason, he knew it has something to do with his homie.
Which I would say is the second person he cared the most about.
He cared about. So he's like, where's Bundy? Well, Bundy was sleeping with some girl that obviously...
distracted by a harlot who obviously Issa had sent.
A harlot Issa has sent.
You can't blame the guy, right?
And whatever, he gets drunk, so he's not there to protect them. And they ambush him, and they end up killing him.
The guy and his family.
His whole family.
They're in a minivan. I mean, it reminded me of like, let's get the family together. Let's go to grandmother's house or something. I mean, or let's go to a special event. You're going to get shot down. I mean, and they're just like, hey, please, no. I mean, it was so sad.
And the thing about this is this guy was not a gangster. This guy was, he was a holy man. Collateral damage, as you mentioned. So this is really crossing the line. Up to this point, it's only been people in the world of gangsters, but now Issa has won up there and took out his friend, who is a holy man, and in his opinion just saved his life by giving him that ring, which is what ultimately ended up getting him out of the hospital. So now we move on to episode 6.
So when you're creating a show, and I have no idea because I've never done it before, but I can only imagine a series where it's going to have several episodes, you want to create what are our problem and our conflicts in each episode, and how's it going to change the characters and how they're going to go over. This show does a great job of doing that.
Right.
Because you have the Kuku collateral damage, how's he going to react to it? And then he starts to get out of that a little bit, and then you have the homie, I can't think of his name, getting killed with his family, and now how's he going to get after that? So we got episode 6, Pratakapa. This refers to the last rites that are read at after someone's demise, after they die. Okay? And it describes the fate of a person's soul after death. So when someone dies, you want to give them their last rites, whether it's cremation or burial or whatever it is, and you want that you want to know what happens to that soul after it dies. And this episode is very simple. What does that refer to? In my opinion, at least it's simple. It's that people are going to die. Okay?
A whole lot of people
Gaitonde, he's not having it no more.
This is the most unhinged you've ever seen him. I think he's more unhinged here than Gangs of Wasp.
I was literally just gonna say, this is where if you had Faisal and Gaitonde in a room and Gaitonde does what he does, Faisal's gonna be like, that's jacked up, man. I mean, maybe not, who knows? But I was just thinking the same thing. So who dies in this episode? Not just all from Gaitonde. We have Zoya, where she puts together the pieces to get her boyfriend whacked, and she uses the chief of police, this guy's name, and I couldn't stand this character, Paruakar.
Yeah.
Because this guy had no problem going back and forth and doing what's best for him. And it worked off because when we have Sartaj many years later, he's still the chief of police and he's still running things. I can't stand that character. But she convinces him because she's a beautiful woman. Oh, my boyfriend beats me up. She starts hitting herself. He beats me up and I need you to take care of it. Oh, yeah, we'll take care of it. So boyfriend, goodbye. And at the very end of the episode, before the credits come on, she starts rehearsing or reciting things that he had said to her.
Right.
And she's basically like, you fool. And then the worst one, and we'll get to that in a second. But what does Gaitonde do? He sees the video at Issa's little celebration thing that he's at. It looks like a wedding too. And we have Bada, one of the two brothers there, and because of the same religion. And so he and who tells him this?
The
that
chief of police guy. This guy.
The same guy who's going to beat up Gaitonde in jail.
You never figure out whose side he's on.
And that's the question I wrote down. He drove me crazy.
He's on his own side, but you know what? I love it because it makes him a complex character, man.
I could not stand this guy. He kept getting away with it.
Right.
But, so, in the process of this, Gaitonde, and he loves Bada.
Right.
And he likes a lot his brother. These are the Badaria brothers. But because of that, he's got to be taken out. So at this point, Bunty was on the outs.
Betrayed him.
Because Bunty slipped in the job. So he tells Bada, go get Bunty, I want to talk to him. Has them both in there. He's talking to what Bada thinks is Bunty about how you disappointed me and now you got to pay. And Bunty's like, what are you talking about? I didn't do anything. He's like, I'm not talking about you. And then Bada's like, what? He realizes what he did. And he says before he gets shot, please, my brother had nothing to do with this. Does Gaitonde care? He does not care. He goes in the room. And I think for a second, the character's thinking, I don't know what I want to do. I'm not sure if I want to punish him. And just by looking at him, that's all it took.
Right.
And so he's sitting there playing a game. And I think in his mind, he took that as, he's just laughing at me too. I got to take him out.
Right.
And so he's thinking about, he's conflicted back and forth. So then the brother gets it. I mean, it can't happen. And I think I remember it was Bunty that did it, but I can't remember specifically if it was Bunty or Gaitonde.
Right.
But the revelation we get at the end of all of this, where you still have Gaitonde, he's still having some man issues. He still has no one to replace Kuku's magic. His maiden, she gives him the kind of advice that he needs because he feels horrible about what happened to these Badaria brothers.
Right.
And she tells him, a traitor's got to die. You can't have him around.
I loved it.
I mean, she's ruthless and she's cold about it.
She's like,
don't worry about it. And when she was doing her maid stuff and she's cleaning the floor, she's picking up the ring, she has like a certain look on her face where she knows what's going on. And so I wonder what was going to happen with her. I didn't predict that she was going to be with him. Right. But now it starts their relationship.
Right.
And so that's episode 6. People die, and people are trying to figure out, how do I go on? Do I give them a respectable death? Gaitonde couldn't handle it. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not the end of it. Oh, my gosh. The last one, the one that broke my heart, is where Katakar my favorite character in this show, Sartaj's right-hand man,
right,
who is a good police officer.
Going
He's got
back
a
into
family.
the future now.
He cares about his family. He's got a crush on Zoe, and so his wife is so happy to go with him, and she's staring at him while he's at the concert. How he's going to react to this guy. This girl she's had a crush on forever.
Right.
And because Sartaj wants to go after some people in his investigation, they find these 3 punks who had done some bad things to these other people who were innocent in the town. You know, old ladies waiting outside the office forever.
Right.
And they come up to him. Katakar's being tough with them, and one of the guys, he just starts stabbing him.
Pulls out a knife,
kills him.
Right in the throat.
Yeah.
Pokes him right in the throat. So, and like you said, this episode, people die. He even makes the quote.
That was the toughest one.
He even makes the claim, in one night, I killed 80 Muslims. No one had ever done what I did. I became a god. And that now rose up. I
think that was episode 7. But the Katakar death was the toughest one. I love that character. I mean, I related to him so much. And he was really good at what he did. But they didn't make him like a superhero character. And that's what's great about the show. These characters are kind of like, besides Nawaz, are dipped in reality.
They're grounded. Right. So episode 7, titled Ghouta, is a personification of terror in Hinduism. All right. And when we're talking about terror, it's finally time for my boy Nawaz's up and comings. You can't get away with killing 80 Muslims in one night and think like it's going to be okay. Everything's honky-dory. Okay, the sun will not come out tomorrow, Annie. So he is going to suffer. He gets arrested. They arrest him right at while he's in a prayer festival or whatnot. Because I think that even the chief of police knew if we try to get him anywhere outside of here, he's going to be armed and he's not going peacefully. But here, with all the people, they're in the temple, he's going to be respectful. So they arrest him and put him in prison. In prison. And that's where we're talking about the terror. They beat him. They beat the bricks off of him. I'm like, this is... LAPD could learn something from these cops,
and they break them too.
Oh, I've never seen a cricket bat used in that manner. Now we understand why he even reached out to Sartaj in the first place, because that was always bothering me since the very first episode.
It was bothering Sartaj too.
Why did he reach out to Sartaj? Well, he knew Sartaj's dad, and not only did he know him, Sartaj's dad showed him kindness when he was in the midst of this terror, getting beat every day, getting abused, getting starved in his prison.
Chief did not care.
And I'm
no food for 28 days.
28 days, dude. That's insane.
That guy brings him like a burrito or something. He gives him.
Yeah. So and you find out it's not that Sartaj's mom, as Sartaj at one time in the future, as he hypothesizes, how did he afford a cricket bat? These things are like 5,000 rupees, and I got it as a kid. To wanting to play cricket. Was he in Gaitonde's pocket? And his mother goes off and says, your father was an honorable man. No, we find out he wasn't in his pocket. He wasn't corrupt. He just saw an injustice happening, and he said, this is not right. You don't starve another human being to death. So he fed him and gave him water, and that's why he
could have got a lot more from Gaitonde if he wanted to.
Absolutely.
But he makes one mention about how my son would love to play cricket, and before you know it, bam.
Boom, cricket bat. And, ultimately, this episode, we spent a lot of time at the jail. In the future now, Sartaj is now closing in closer on the conspiracy. So far, though, everyone around him is dying. All right, our agent from FSB, is it, or
RAW?
We catch up in the future, and again, going back to what you mentioned earlier, is Sartaj poison? I believe he is, because they've told him tons of times, stop investigating this thing. And he knows there's corruption going on. Something we forgot to mention is that one of the guys that back in the day used to be one of Gaitonde's guy, again, with this police chief who we don't know whose side he's even on, okay? He's the whole time the puppet master behind, pulling the strings. He's like the main politician guy or whatever. Bonso, there we go, good. And, during this time, I forgot to mention, Bunty also gets killed. Why? Because of Sartaj. This guy, anybody and he's trying to solve this case. I get it.
But he's trying to do it the right way, and there's so much corruption that he cannot, he doesn't have experience dealing with all the corruption and all the different predicaments. It's interesting that we've been talking about all these episodes, and all we focus on is Gaitonde.
Right.
There's the whole Sartaj and the whole future.
There is, but that just tells you
that's what we're interested in.
That just tells you who really dominates this sacred games, and that's why I said there's two protagonists here, 1A and 1B. 1A, you know it's gotta be Nawaz, okay? And then Sartaj's storyline is cool because he's the son 25 years later that gets contacted by Gaitonde because of the relationship his dad had established with him in jail. But is he the main focus of the show? No, he's just trying to investigate what's gonna happen in 25 days.
I just don't want anyone watching this to think that we didn't care about the Sartaj storyline.
Oh, no.
But you're right. We kind of are more interested in the other one. But just on Jolly, now this actress, she was in Andadun and she's in a bunch of other things. She's, in my opinion, she's a beautiful actress. I'm not sure what it is about her, but to me, she's very, very beautiful. And she did a great job. But there was one thing that drove me crazy about her performance in this series. In every episode she's in, she has this angry and annoyed look on her face at all times.
Right.
Where she goes like, I mean, watch the show again. There's very few times where she's not. And I know she's a great actress. I know she's way better than that. But she always looks annoyed and she looks angry about something, no matter who she's talking to and what's going on. And maybe she's just always annoyed that she has to go above and beyond as a woman, as a female agent.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And she's in a world with all these men that are slobs and goofballs in her opinion.
And aren't even listening to her when she knows she's onto something.
I started to get a little annoyed with the constant...
Right.
Anyways.
But, anyways, she, this whole time, has been helping him. And if it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have even gotten as far as he got. But she now runs into Malcolm. And Malcolm is like a South African or British. I can't
remember.
I can't remember. And this guy's a serial killer. And this guy is ruthless. And she's investigating this apartment he goes to, and he comes right up on her and kills her. Boom! I'm like, oh man, ruthless. I loved her. Spoiler alert, a lot of people die, even our main characters. By the end of the season, so far we've lost, and we haven't even got to the last episode, we've lost Bunty. We've lost Bada and his brother. Kataka. We've lost Kataka. Now we've lost her. Who else did we lose?
Kuku didn't.
Yeah, Kuku died. Yes. She commits suicide actually.
Bunty.
So
you said Bunty. Yeah.
Man, we lose a lot of people that we know. So man, it's a rough ride.
Not the corrupt ones. Bonzo survives.
Not the corrupt ones.
And the chief of police. Anyways, all right. So moving on to episode 8. So episode 8, Yayati, is the name of the episode, and Yayati was an ancestor of Pandarus, who was cursed with premature old age for infidelity. Okay, he cheated on his spouse or his lover, and so he was cursed with premature old age. He later swapped that curse with his son Paruf. And so this, according to this article, they said obviously we find the identity of the third father of Gaitonde. These are my thoughts. So Gaitonde meets his third father, who brings him death in the first episode. So it kind of like goes like a backwards, almost like a memento type thing.
Right.
We got thumbs being chopped off by Malcolm.
Very first
Sartaj's
scene
thumb.
of the episode.
And my wife Jody, you guys know she doesn't like violence. She walked in for a few minutes. I'll watch this. I think your wife did the same exact thing. Boom!
Like,
adios.
Bye. And it was raw, man.
And Sartaj does such a good job of making it feel like it actually happened. I mean, every time you touch it, ooh. Now, if it was me, I'd be screaming a lot more when Malcolm's talking. I understand it's a show. But Sartaj does a great acting job with his, pretend like his thumb does get chopped off.
Right.
Gaitonde is in prison still. And this is where I think the connection with the premature old age. When, in my opinion, if you go to prison, it's going to age you.
Right.
Okay? It changes your perspective on life. And what happens when you get older? Not only do you age, your perspective changes considerably because you have all these experiences. As a young pup, you have all these things you're going to do, and this is how you see the world. When you get older, your perspective totally changes, and I feel like that's what happens like Gaitonde when he gets in jail. He's paying for his crimes. He's paying for his religious crimes. He's paying for all the things he's done, and even though infidelity is kind of the way he is, I feel like his infidelity was more for the way that he treated human or mankind. And so this was his punishment for that. And then
and
he,
the thing about it
at
is,
the end, he gets his freedom by basically pledging allegiance to Guruji, who's played by our man from Stree and whatnot.
Right.
And so that's kind of where it comes full circle. That's his third father. There's a lot more that happens this episode. One thing I loved about this episode is, once again, it shows us that Sartaj is another grounded character. He never becomes super cop. No. And the best illustration of that is at the beginning of the episode, he's on that train following Malcolm's men, and he gets off the train. He has snuck on this entire time. No one knew he was there, at least he thought. Right when he gets off, we think, okay, he's going to infiltrate these people. They catch him right away.
He's a horrible cop. I'm sorry.
He gets caught right away. He's a real character. He's a real rookie on his first case, making rookie mistakes. Okay. And that's what I love about the character development on his character, because that's what they show. He's also he's got honor. He's got religion. I wish that we would have found more about his addiction. I mean, he goes to that pharmacy in episode 5 or 6, and he's ready to kill that guy because his prescription is run out. And this is before the thumb incident. I want to know, okay, what's that all about? Did I miss that? There's not a lot of information on that.
I think it was like anti-anxiety meds, because he is nervous, and I think they made some prelude to that earlier on.
Sweating and whatnot.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. And he's a rookie. Earlier on, I mean, Bunty's man catch him. He gets caught all the time. He's not a seasoned veteran, so to speak. But it brings a realism to that character, and you're right about that. But I think that the first thing about this episode that really stood with me is that for the first time, my man Ghouta has given up. And he's like, okay, I'm ready to die. Because he just was done. He was in prison. He had fought other Muslims in prison. He killed other Muslims in prison. And he's to the point now where he knows he's never going to get out, and they're starving him to death. He can take the pain, but when you're in there, no food, no water, you're in a little cell locked at night where you can't even stand up straight. It is isolation all day long. He was ready to die, and he finally got to that point where, until that phone call comes, exactly. And who bought him that phone call once again? Who bought him? It was Sartaj's dad. He bought him the cell phone. So, again, now you understand why that strong connection was there, and why, he actually, in my opinion, he contacted Sartaj to try to get him out of there, because at the very end of the episode, what do we find out? The whole time, by the way, he, at the very beginning, and we skipped over it, he says, everybody's going to die. This police station, everybody in Mumbai is going to die, except Trivedi. Trivedi's the only one that's going to survive. Trivedi. We keep hearing about Trivedi throughout the entire season. We never meet Trivedi. We're like, who the heck is Trivedi? We do. Well, at the end, but we've met him throughout. He's the guy with the mustache, like the guy who, tries to act like he's one of the guys. He's with the chief of police, and he's with Bonzo at one point, and they're making fun of him. That's Trivedi. No!
Yes, who's obviously, in my opinion, a puppet of Guruji. But yeah, that's Trivedi.
I missed that. Wow.
I had once the season was over, I'm sure a lot of you who did not have season 2 yet, and I didn't go to season 2 yet, but once that was over, I had to look up some information. Hey, who is that guy? Because at first I thought, is that Ghouta? What happened? I thought he shot himself earlier. Yeah. I had to figure out what was going on. That's Trivedi right there.
Wow. So this guru talks about how there's signs, and signs should be placed in certain locations, and it should always be placed at an entryway, somewhere you come in or come out. And then his first, in my opinion, real super cop moment where he's figured something out. Wait a minute, there was a sign on the floor. Why would be there's an entry? So he goes back and realizes that downstairs there's a bunker prepared with all kinds of rations, gas masks, and they're preparing for some type of either nuclear attack or poison attack, chemical attack. So now you come full circle. My thing is, I think Ghouta wanted Sartaj to find it because he just doesn't want Trivedi to survive. He wants Sartaj to survive because he believes he's the only other honest man in Mumbai because of his father's lineage.
But the confusing thing, and I saw this on the internet, other people had the same questions. If everyone besides Trivedi is going to die and Trivedi's dead, and he even says, when we realize that Trivedi's dead, he says, you'll find out eventually that I am not a liar when I said everyone but Trivedi will die.
Right.
Maybe it's as simple as he's already dead, so he won't die in the attack.
Is Trivedi dead, though? Because I thought he was just unconscious in that basement.
I think he's dead. We don't know. I think he's dead. But So there's so much more we can say about this.
So
And we
much
love
more.
that you've watched this entire thing, and I'm sure there's several things that we've said that you're like, no. But we really tried really hard to actually get a whole lot of research together and have it not just be a discussion like most of our reviews are, and they'll continue to be, but to have it more of like things for us to understand, because there's so much of the culture that we don't understand that we're learning. But these are some questions I had when the season ended, and I'm just being honest right now. Either I was too dumb to figure it out or something, but I want to know, who is this Bonsol guy? I know he's a minister of something, but who is this guy? Why is he, how did he get into office, and then how did he get out of office? And that might be a little spoiler for season 2.
Right.
And what's with the... Oh, what was with that fake money at the end of episode 2? I didn't understand that. I know that was JoJo's place, and they talked about counterfeit money. I didn't know the connection I was supposed to make with that. I want to know, who is this JoJo lady? And I also want to know, did I miss something, or did we not get... already talked about that. The whole thing about the addiction of Sartaj. Those are some of the questions that I honestly had as this season ended that I didn't really understand. Parukar drove me nuts, like I had talked about.
Well, I think the money...
Those were my thoughts.
Wasn't the money to buy the firearms that he comes across at the end? The fake money, counterfeit money, was to buy those firearms that they were using, or were going to use anyway, to try to stave off an attack.
That was a lot of guns.
There were a lot of guns.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, where you see all those crates. I mean, that was...
There's a lot of firearms. So I think that's what the counterfeit money was for. But my biggest question that I left this season was Peruka. Whose side is he on? This guy, from episode to episode, again, he's the one that dimed out Issa. He bought him the tape, right? And then all of a sudden, now you're imprisoning him. Well, what do you think was going to happen once you told him that it was Issa's?
I just think he's a super clever survivalist. I mean, he'll do whatever it takes to make sure that none of these mob bosses get too much power. I mean, maybe that's... I think I just realized it right now. He feels like it's his city. That's his place. Mumbai is his place. And no one's going to run it besides him. And so when he sees any of them, he's just balancing the power maybe. Who knows? But this guy, I mean, his little goofy hairstyle, never brushes his hair. This guy's in charge of everybody. I mean, he just...
he's a puppet master. I tell you what, that cop is ruthless. And you find out in the very first episode, because he killed that unarmed kid, man. And, watch it. I know we miss a lot. I'm ready for a grade. Are you ready for a grade? I tell you what, I absolutely love series. I think it gives you a lot more time to explore characters. And man, I haven't seen, again, first night I was up till 3:30 in the morning, angry because I knew I had to get up the next day. So this thing had me hooked. And for that reason alone, I'm giving it an A. It's a great show. I haven't seen a bad guy this compelling since Tony Soprano on The Sopranos. That's very high praise. He won so many daytime Emmys. And maybe Heisenberg, you know what I mean, from Breaking Bad. I mean, this guy, Nawaz. Whoever recommended, I forget the person, good call, man. He is the best bad guy of all time.
He's unbelievable. And I love that, it's so obvious that all of us, no matter what country you're living in, can recognize it. I'm also going to give this a solid A. The reason why it's not getting an A+ is just because, and this is, maybe being American or not understanding the culture, there was a lot of it that I was confused about, a lot of questions I had going in. And again, maybe I wasn't smart enough. Maybe they already told us and I didn't pick up on it. Maybe through the loss of translation with reading the subtitles. I did not do any of the dubbing. Funny story, I actually did dubbing for about 5 minutes. And I also had the subtitles on there, and I noticed what you guys are talking about. It is so different from the subtitles and the dubbing. I'm not sure why whoever does the subtitles doesn't do the dubbing that way, but it's very interesting. So I did subtitles. I may have missed some stuff, but this is a fantastic show. Multifaceted characters, not just one or two, but several of them. Amazing performances, like we had mentioned about. So much to marinate and think about and talk about, which is why this is so long. But this is an 8-episode series. We're so grateful that you guys requested that we watch it. And we would love for you to give us your thoughts and to like and subscribe and do all that kind of stuff. Look at our Patreon page. But until next time,
I know all things.